gonna make sure we get everywhere safe and sound and fast and furious today. There's one more thing I want to let you know about. That little studio down there that we're about to explore, there is some active filming happening today. So at any point, I could launch into what we call a quiet zone. All right, there's one more person I want to introduce you to. My name's Jessica. I'm your tour guide, but I am going to enlist some help, some celebrity help for today's tour. Please welcome Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world famous studio tour. I know you did. Why the tough? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Now, it may be 60 years of our studio tour, but the studio itself was founded on March 15th, 1915. That's our founder, Carl Laemmle, on your screens. It's actually always part of his plan and his dream to invite guests just like you to join us at the studio. He wanted everyone to revel in the magic of movie making. And back when we first started making films, it was a silent movie era, which meant we could have guests just walking around while we were filming movies. They could even cheer on the good guys, boo the bad guys as we were filming. But as time went on, we put sound into the films and we couldn't have as many guests. And it wasn't until the 1960s when this studio tour first took off. July 15th, 1964 was opening day. We've been going strong ever since. Throughout the years, we've spiced up the studio tour by adding video on our trams and adding different kinds of attractions to the tour. Two of which have been on our timeline, the Burning House and the Rock Slide. If you look to your left-hand side, we have Soundstage 12. It's first of our 36 sound stages here in the lot. It's been home to many different environments over the years, a few of which are appearing on your screens. Right now, though, that soundstage is being set up, or is set up for Halloween Horror Nights. One of our haunted houses is going to be hosted inside of Soundstage 12. It's an honor to our Universal monsters, but my favorite one's everyone who is a woman. So the Bride of Frankenstein is teaming up with Van Helsing to take down the daughter of Dracula. Be sure to check it out if you have a Halloween Horror Nights ticket. Now to your left-hand side, we have some more sound stages. Lots of TV. It's filmed
Felicia Mansion in Bel Air. When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who
Or what?
you'll see on the studio tour.
That's very true. On your left-hand side, Soundstage 14 has been used for lots of different movies like Jurassic Park, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. John Carpenter's The Thing filmed over there. Now, Universal is very, very proud of its horror. We're going to talk a lot about it as we go through the studio, because horror was created here as a movie genre back in our monster with the 8% soundproof, blocking out most of the sound and keeping in the sound that you want to use. However, it's still very careful that 2% can still get you, just like with milk, so you got to keep a lookout for those wigwags. Additionally, these sound stages are very useful because they give us the most amount of control we can ever hope to have over our environment. We can build any set we want to inside of these sound stages. Even sets that exist in real life. We can recreate the Oval Office like they did for Academy Award-winning film Oppenheimer, which filmed right over here in Soundstage 19. To your left-hand side, we're going to see our first celebrity sighting. It's Ted the Teddy Bear. Hi, Ted. Ted marks the beginning of our production bungalows, where many different production companies are hard at work trying to bring their new favorite stories to the big and small screens. Whether it's a movie, a TV show, they are working on bringing it to life. We have Illumination Entertainment to your left-hand side. They are the animation company responsible for the Minions, Secret Life of Pets, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. We also have companies like Working Title Productions, Amy Pascal's Pascal Pictures, and Mark Platt Productions is coming up. They've brought you banger after banger. I mean, Legally Blonde, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, La La Land, and they're about to bring you the hit Broadway musical Wicked to the big screen for the first time in 20 years. The first of two parts premieres later this year, Thanksgiving Day weekend. If you look to your left-hand side, Bungalow 5162, or the House Mark Platt Productions, has a little Wicked balloon defying gravity as we speak. I personally cannot wait for that movie. Be sure to check it out for yourselves. Now we're approaching some more sound stages, which right now are home to two different sitcoms. Lopez versus Lopez is a family sitcom starring George Lopez and his real-life daughter Mayan. They are approaching season 3, which is going to premiere on October 18th on NBC. Next day on Peacock, NBC and Universal's exclusive streaming service. And if you continue looking to your left-hand side, we have St. Denis Medical on Soundstage 26. St. Denis Medical filming at Soundstage 26. They had a wig-wag on, and that means that they were filming with sound. So I hopped off the microphone for a second. Now they're also using these Metropolitan sets. These outdoor exterior sets are made for exterior scenes. They're not real buildings, they're all facades. The fronts and sides of buildings made for exterior filming only. They built the exterior of St. Denis Medical on these sets, and right now our Courthouse Square, which is famous for Back to the Future, is being set up for Ted. Ted is Peacock's most successful series to date. Season 1 premiered earlier this year on January 11th, and they're in pre-production for season 2. I, for one, am really excited about it. It stars Ted the Teddy Bear, played by Seth MacFarlane. He's also executive producer. Now, these metro sets take up about 4 acres of our lot, and they can be turned into any city in the world during any time period in history, any season of the year. Just like you dress up an actor in a costume, you can dress up for sets with set decoration. If you look on the sidewalks, you'll see little squares where you can plug in things like street lamps, stoplights, signs, fire hydrants, parking meters, whatever you need to decorate these sets. New York Street itself has been turned into Chicago for the Blues Brothers, San Francisco for Dirty Harry, Los Angeles in Transformers. It was the 1940s Brooklyn for Captain America, the first Avenger, disguising anything modern with anything more old school. We went even further back in time for Bram Stoker's Dracula, when we used gas lamps and horse-drawn carriages to turn this into an 1800s London. American Ninja Warrior will even build their obstacle course up and down this street. These sets are as versatile as it gets for filming. But for now, we're going to say goodbye to our urban jungle and hello to the more fantastical jungle of Skull Island.
I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up into adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship and you're sailing to Lost Island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Now, Skull Island can get a little bumpy. This is your reminder to stay seated, to keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Please, if you drop something in this area, I am not able to get it back for you to the very end of the day, so please keep a tight hold of your belongings. And no flash photography. It's very dangerous when we're inside of a building, and on Skull Island, it can be distracting to the wildlife.
The Universal tram is winding its way through a very rough, narrow trail in Skull Island, allowing the visitors
All right, raise your hand if you got spit on by a dinosaur. I did. All right, it's actually really good for you. If you rub it into the skin, like on your cheeks, it's like a little serum. And that was brought to you by director Peter Jackson and the folks at Weta Effects. They're a New Zealand-based digital effects company. They've worked on some of your favorite movies and TV shows. I mean, almost every Marvel and DC movie of the last 10 years has worked with Weta Effects. They've worked on things like King Kong, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and they've even won Academy Awards for their work on things like Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water. That kind of animation is all done with computers, so we call it computer-generated imagery. It's also known as CGI. And Weta Effects, they are the masters. Now we're going to get another quick glimpse of our Metro sets as we go by. Here's another, some more examples of it in action. And coming up is actually one of my favorites. Right here, I'm going to pause this. Does everyone see those little like slits of like light at the top of the screen there? Yeah. That's because they filmed this nighttime scene during the day. So for films like Streets of Fire, they will cover these sets with tarps, and that's the sunlight peeking through. But that way they can film during the day. Let's say you have child actors who can't stay out past a certain time, or it's just safer for everyone. For whatever reason, you can film nighttime things during the day here. Now, lots of horror is filmed here in New York Street. You can dress it up to be any time period. You can also dress it up to be more fantastical. Or if you're doing like a murder spree, right? Like in The Purge Anarchy or for the Forever Purge, they used our New York Street for both of those movies. And in one of A24's latest, Maxine, written and directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth, they used these sets as movie sets in the 1985 version of Hollywood. They also go through our Western sets and some more that we'll see on the tour today. Those emergency vehicles over there that are parked there, those are actually picture cars being used for St. Denis Medical, not real emergency vehicles. Now on your right hand side, we're going to get to look at something we don't normally get to see on the tour. And it's this mural honoring our Universal monsters, which we'll talk about in a bit. Now Tristan Eaton is a popular street artist who did this mural. And he did not use 1 ounce of, or 1 paintbrush on this mural. It was all done with cans of spray paint. Wow. Something else we don't normally get to see on the tour. Look to your left-hand side to see the sound stages used to film The Voice.
Look, they're filming.
And The Voice is filmed somewhat live.
Hey, studio tour. It's your boy Snoop Dogg. You know the Universal backbox home of The Voice.
Filming
That's
something
right.
up there.
We take right here on Stage 31. Don't miss our incredible new season every Monday and Tuesday on NBC.
See you.
Now that you've heard the rest, you can hear the best. Who can be with the S?
Looks like they're filming stuff over there.
Snoop joins The Voice Monday, September 23rd on NBC and Peacock.
Snoop's fellow host, Reba McEntire, is also working double time. We've got Stage 33 over there. That's where she's filming a new sitcom called Happy's Place coming out in October. Now this area we're seeing right in front of us on the left-hand side, right across from our Western sets, which right now are being used by the New York Film Academy. We have Park Lake. Park Lake is this man-made water feature, also known as Hollywood to Ocean. You've seen it in musicals like Showboat with Paul Robeson and Hattie McDaniel, Tammy with Debbie Reynolds. But it also was used for a studio tour attraction known as the Parting of the Red Sea for a number of years. The tram used to actually drive through Park Lake. But since it's spooky season, I can't not mention The Creature from the Black Lagoon. McHale's Navy or the Gilligan's Island TV movies that film out here. We call it Hollywood's Ocean because you can use things like miniature boats to make the water look a lot bigger than it is. The way that you make your props or sets, scaling is a big way to help kind of force the perspective of your audience, especially since cameras' eyes are not as good as our real eyes. We can see a lot more detail than a camera can. Now, speaking of the Universal Monsters, we're about to go to the home of the Universal Monsters, our Little Europe sets. Now these monster movies are a very big deal for us. at Universal Studios. They got us out of the Great Depression, helped us make our mark as a studio on the movie industry, and these movies are often celebrated at the start of the horror genre. So we celebrate them every year at Halloween Horror Nights. I already told you about our Monster Maze this year, but next year you can start celebrating them any day of the year, as Universal Orlando is opening Epic Universe with a land called Dark Universe dedicated entirely to these monsters. Now, these Little Europe sets were originally constructed in the 1920s, used for our first Academy Award-winning picture, All Quiet on the Western Front, and since then used for many monster movies up through about the 50s. But since then, they've gotten a little bit of a facelift. You might recognize them from more modern productions. Lots of royalty has been here. Amelia Mignonette Thermopolis Rinaldi, Princess of Genovia, was here when this was Genovia in The Princess Diaries 2, a royal engagement. This was used as both Port Royal and Tortuga, hometown of future pirate king Elizabeth Swann in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I'm sure she considered herself royalty. Miss Piggy was here with Kermit the Frog in the 2011 film The Muppets. And this courtyard here is called the Court of Miracles. And the Court of Miracles and all of Little Europe are used as a little storybook town in the 1997 adaptation of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, starring Brandy and Whitney Houston. Maybe you don't recognize it from Pirates and Princesses. Maybe you recognize it better from a little show called The Good Place.
Struck. I'm dead.
In its place, the actors are standing by, and the director could yell action at any point, and everyone could spring, well, into action. So today in Soundstage 50, they're filming a ticket machine heist scene. These Universal Metro Station sets are decorated to be a modern day San Francisco, and boy do I wish we were in the San Francisco fog right about now. But we can see our ticket machine that's going to be bust open. We see the prop money that they have set up. The lights are pointed at our scene, and the camera is ready to go. Okay, is everyone okay? I think we just had a little California tremor. Like, stop it, we're not okay, this is more than a little tremor. This feels like a big earthquake. You might want to hold on to something. Those are all practical effects that you can see, feel through, and touch them in front of you, as opposed to digital effects, like what we saw for King Kong 360 3D. And congrats, you're all pros. You did exactly what a Californian would do in a real earthquake. Absolutely nothing. The next step is to post on social media. Ask if anyone else felt the same earthquake you did. Find out the epicenter. It's a whole thing. It's like a ritual we do. Universal's history our western sets and where we first got started. We had 6 different western streets that we filmed 6 different movies on all at the same time back in the silent film era. We don't have as many streets nowadays. We still call this area 6 Points in honor of that time. You might have also seen these sets in movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, Call of the Wild, Saving Mr. Banks, and The Color Purple. Now we're moving on to a place I like to go when I want to cool down, whether it's physically or, mentally, emotionally. I feel bad for shaking y'all up, so We're gonna go to my favorite New England beach town of Amity Island to kind of take a few deep breaths and become one with nature. If you look to your right-hand side, you can see the light glistening off the top of the water. We're not gonna go for a dip, folks. I know it's tempting. We're not gonna do that. Okay, we gotta stay on board the tram and, oh, I guess we really don't wanna do that. There's also a shark in the water. Don't worry, I mean, we're on the tram, the shark's in the water, we're gonna be absolutely fine. And look, my buddy George, he's an animal actor trainer. I'm sure he's got a handle on this shark. George, how's it going? Good? Oh, not so good. Not so good for George. You know what, everyone? We're going to move on. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to go ahead and move to the flammable gasoline barrels and hide behind those.
Let's hide behind these flammable barrels. That shark won't find us here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh.
Everybody, my bad. Sorry about the shark. Does anyone know what kind of shark that is?
Great white.
Great white. Who said that? It's a great guess. It's actually a mechanical shark. That was really, really close. That mechanical shark works very well for us here on the tour. However, on the set of Jaws, that was not the case. Their shark never, ever worked. Steven Spielberg was stressed. He thought his first big movie was going to be a big flop. His career was over, but luckily for him, his editor, Verna Fields, had the brilliant idea to get footage from the perspective of the shark, making Jaws the suspense thriller that we all know and love to this day. Now, our next attraction is going to be a simple weather demonstration, folks. I promise. Simple weather demonstration.
Time for my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968.
Now, usually waiting around for rain in Southern California is a lot like waiting for Chad Michael Murray at the end of a Cinderella story. Useless and disappointing. So we learned how to make our own rain for days like today, when you need it to storm and you know it's just not gonna anytime soon. These rain towers here shoot water up in the air, allowing it to fall back down very naturally. Now, all this water is recycled, so we can keep this going all day long. We've also added some thunder and lightning. The thunder is a sound effect played out of speakers. The lightning is strobe lights on the tops and sides of the building. All three of these elements can be adapted however we need to adapt them for production, and all three of them together can really create the perfect storm. But here's the thing. If you keep the perfect storm going for a little too long, it becomes the perfect flash flood. You might have seen that effect in movies like Big Fat Liar, going into our old Mexico sets, movies like Nacho Libre, Drag Me to Hell, The Three Amigos, everyone's favorite Indiana Jones, filmed right here. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, speaking of Steven Spielberg projects.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
Now, Jaws obviously did not film here, right? Not enough room. But this area was used as Cabot Cove, Maine for Murder, She Wrote with the late great Dame Angela Lansbury. Such a happy little theme song for a show about murder. So guys, every episode of that show. Now we're heading into our neighborhood area. To your right-hand side, you're going to see what's called a practical set. It's a set you can film inside and outside of. It's our Chicken Ranch. It was first built for the Best of the Whorehouse in Texas and used for Rob Zombie's House of 1,000 Corpses years later.
Quantum Leap. We'll just put Quantum Leap.
On your left-hand side, we have one of our neighborhood streets. This is called Elm Street, not like Nightmare on Elm Street. Elm Street never hosted one of the Nightmare films, but Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, did film on our neighboring neighborhood street, Colonial Street, which we're about to go past. A lot of big fans, though, recognize this more as Wisteria Lane from the show Desperate Housewives.
If there is one thing everyone in suburbia can appreciate, it's a good neighbor.
Now, not only Wisteria Lane, this street has also been used on TV shows like Never Have I Ever, Ted, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and in movies like Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy, Casper with Christina Ricci, and The Burbs with Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher. Now, if we have any Back to the Future fans on board, get your cameras ready on your left-hand side. We're going to see some props that were recreated for the 30th anniversary of the film. The Lion Estates gates were used to mark Marty McFly's neighborhood, no matter where it was or when it was that Marty McFly was. So we have those props on display on our Wilderness Road in just a second. We call this Wilderness Road because sometimes you need to film in the middle of nowhere without actually going to the middle of nowhere. So you go here to the middle of the back lot, and we have a couple extra perks. I mean, here we have access to things like restrooms, shelter, electricity. If you go out and you actually camp for your production, which you can do, you're going to have to fudge some of those amenities there, right? Sandra Bullock was actually here. And the Terror Tram will actually bring you up this hill, but drop you off at some of our most iconic horror locations. And this year, they've been taken over by Blumhouse. It's called Terror Tram Enter the Blumhouse. So we have Blumhouse right now. You can see the, this is where Blumhouse would be. So this is where you would get off the tram for the Terror Tram. Of course, that's not happening until later on tonight. And for those coming, I recommend, it is a little bit of a walk. So I recommend doing this once the sun goes down.
Definitely.
My pro tip to you.
Definitely.
We're going to keep going up this way.
Ooh, it's a Universal Glamour tram for the 60th.
And we're going to visit the set of one of my favorite horror movies to come out of the last 5 years.
What's up, Studio Tour? I'm Kiki Palmer from Jordan Peele's film, Nope. What's a bad miracle? Well, you'll have to see our movie to answer that one. Until then, I hope you enjoy your visit to Jupiter's Claim.
Did you see a UFO in that cloud?
Yeah. No. I ain't never seen nothing like this.
No.
Are you ready? Run!
Holy hell. No. No. No.
Hell no.
Right now we're on the sets of Jupiter's Claim. These are the original sets used to create, used to film. Nope. Does anyone hear that? I'm sure it's nothing. Nope, great answer. These are the original sets used in Santa Clarita, so imagine how hot it was out there, to film the movie. And they brought them over here to be part of the studio tour. On the same day the movie hit theaters, July 22nd, 2022. Now, all these noises, I have a feeling something fishy is going on. What do you guys think? I'm a little worried about this.
Welcome to the world of home.
Here's what they don't tell you about Jupiter's Claim right away. It's right on top of a UFO hotspot. So I think that was the UFO. We didn't lose anybody, right? We're all good? Everyone's got their people? Sweet. Okay, well, the aliens didn't get us. Whew. Like I said, those sets were used in the original filming. Premiered here on the same
glamour trams,
day the
guys.
movie hit theaters. First time that's ever happened. It's also the first studio tour attraction that we have that permanently honors a director of color. Hi everyone, car 2, car 3, car 4. Thanks again for your patience. How you doing? Okay, we're good. No, it's hot. It's hot. It's a little moist. Yeah. Sorry, I know everyone hates that word. Is that still a trend? We're trying to keep going. There's a butterfly in the front car. That's a paid animal actor for the studio tour, actually. Yeah. At this point, we're very, very close to getting to the end of the tour, folks. So, hang tight. Remember, pull the cord if you need any immediate assistance. I am more than happy to come back there and talk to you guys. If you... Thank you again for joining us for the tour. I apologize for all of our technical difficulties. I hope everyone is okay. We will check in with you as soon as you get off. I will be there when you get off if you want to ask me any questions personally. But it has been 60 years of the studio tour, and most of the time, it's really fun. So I hope it didn't totally take your experience here, and I hope you have a wonderful day at Universal Studios Hollywood. Make sure you download the app for all of your information you need to get to the park.